All right, let's get right into it. We're about to pull back the curtain on a massive, hidden world that affects pretty much everything we buy. And we're going to look at some incredible technology that's fighting back. So welcome. This is our explainer on the DNA of things.
So let me start by asking you something. And, be honest. Have you ever bought something that you knew was a fake? A handbag, maybe a watch, some sneakers? You might think, hey, what's the harm? But what if I told you that little choice is actually part of a massive global crisis?
Because we're not just talking about a few knockoff purses on a street corner. No way. This is a shadow economy so huge, it's almost unbelievable. We're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar problem that touches, well, pretty much every part of our lives.
To really get our heads around this, we have to understand the scale. We're looking at what you could call a trillion-dollar fake empire, and it's operating just beneath the surface of our global economy.
Just look at that number, $2.8 trillion. That's the estimated loss to counterfeiting every single year. It's a number so big it's tough to even imagine. It's bigger than the entire economy of most countries. And the crazy part? It's still growing.
So where does all that money come from? Well, this chart breaks it down, and it's fascinating. It's not just one thing. You've got almost $1 trillion lost just in international trade, another $1 trillion in fakes sold within countries, and then boom, almost another $1 trillion in digital piracy. I mean, it is absolutely everywhere. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, this is just about some fancy watches and designer clothes, you got to think again. The counterfeit market is full of things like critical auto parts, medicines, electronics, even official government documents. The rule is simple. If it can be made, you can bet it can be faked.
Okay, so here's the most important point. This is not just about the money. The real cost of this whole fake empire goes way, way beyond a price tag. The fallout is so much more serious than, say, a t-shirt that falls apart after one wash.
This number? This represents people. 260,000 jobs. That's how many are cut around the world every year because of counterfeiting. We're talking about real businesses shutting their doors, real families losing their income, all because they just can't compete with the fakes.
And the damage just keeps spreading. Governments lose out on huge amounts of tax revenue. You and I, we all end up paying more for law enforcement to fight this stuff. And then there's the truly tragic part. People actually die from fake medicines that have nothing in them, or even worse, have toxic stuff inside. That is the real price of fake.
Part of the problem is us. It's changing our mindset. A recent survey of young people found that more than half, 52%, had knowingly bought a fake. For a lot of them, it's just because it's cheaper, and about a third of them say they just can't tell the difference anymore. So how do you even begin to fight a problem when people are either in on it or just totally unaware?
Okay, so this is where it gets really, really cool. We've laid out the problem, right? Now let's talk about a solution that honestly feels like it's straight out of the future. It's called the DNA of things.
Just think about that for a second. Seriously, what if every single thing, from a bottle of pills to a part in a car to a ballot in an election, had its very own unique biological fingerprint, an identity that was literally impossible to copy?
And this quote just perfectly captures the whole idea. It's a completely new way of thinking about security. It's not something you stick on top like a label. It's something that's baked right into the fabric of an object itself.
So the technology that makes this all possible is called Guardian Dot. And what it is basically a tiny microscopic organic tag. Think of it like a piece of synthetic DNA that we can put on pretty much anything. It's totally invisible, but it holds this unique code that cannot be faked.
So what makes this so powerful? Well, for starters, it's the first organic marking of its kind. And by organic, we just mean it's a carbon-based signature. It's not from a living creature, but it's designed to be totally safe. So safe, in fact, that it's actually FDA approved. It has billions of possible combinations, so every single tag is unique. Then, and this is so important, that identity is locked onto the blockchain, which is like a super secure digital record book that's almost impossible to mess with. And maybe the best part? Anybody can check it with a simple app on their phone.
Now, I know this might sound a little like science fiction, but the way it works is actually pretty simple. So let's just break down how this actually works out in the real world.
It really comes down to 3 easy steps. First, the product gets marked with its one-of-a-kind dot. Second, its DNA gets registered on the blockchain, creating this permanent, unchangeable record. And third, anyone, from a customs agent to you standing in a store, can verify that it's real instantly just by using their phone.
And this slide. This really shows you what a giant leap this is. See, the old ways use centralized servers, which, can be hacked. Guardian uses the blockchain. But the biggest difference, the real game changer, is who can read it. Old methods, only law enforcement with special gear. This technology, anyone with an app. And that's the whole point. This is about democratizing authenticity. For the first time ever, the power to check if something's real is in your hands. You don't have to just trust the system anymore. You can check it yourself. That's a huge shift in power for us as consumers.
So what does this all mean for the future? Could a technology like this actually lead to a world without fakes? Let's explore what could happen. The possibilities are just staggering when you think about it. Imagine knowing for a fact that the parts in an airplane are genuine, that election ballots are secure, that IDs can't be forged, that the medicine you're taking is 100% real. This could basically restore trust in almost every important part of our economy.
And look, this isn't just a cool idea. The data proves that it works. It's 40% cheaper than similar technologies, and it slashes the risk of fakes by 25% compared to other systems. So it's not just better, it's also smarter and more efficient.
And this is happening right now. This isn't some concept for the future. Over 100,000 products have already been marked and authenticated with this stuff. It's out of the lab, it's in the real world, and it's already protecting supply chains and consumers.
So, that brings us back to a big question. We've seen the insane scale of the fake empire and its devastating costs. But we've also seen a powerful new weapon in the fight for what's real. So you have to wonder, could a tiny mark, something smaller than a grain of sand, really be the key to restoring trust in everything we make, everything we buy, and everything we rely on? Now that is a future worth thinking about.